Seriously, is this peak woke? Is this peak woke, Anne?
Well, it's certainly peak madness. I mean, I'm beginning to wonder if the entire country's gone mad. The idea that you remove the name of a historic prime minister such as Gladstone and you put in its place somebody whose parliamentary achievements are, to put it bluntly, negligible, and who indeed can't actually add up, as we found out when she was being asked about costing her own police policy. I just wonder what on earth is going on. Now, if people want to remove Gladstone's name, that's bad enough and silly enough. But really, then you would have thought they would have found somebody of equal stature to name the park after. It's just total insanity. Total.
And it is also proof that history is quite literally being erased now, because, you know, this park in northwest London has been named Gladstone Park since the year after his death in 1898. I mean, this is a historic park. This is not overturning a modern decision.
What we're effectively saying, or what the Labour Council is effectively saying, is that some people shouldn't exist. You know, they shouldn't be allowed to be remembered. And so we pretend they didn't exist. So we rewrite history so that we just sort of quietly, you know, erase their names. Now, you know, it's a bit like Stalinism in its way. You just sort of try and erase the past and pretend it didn't happen if it happens to be inconvenient. But in fact, the past is so much a part of the present. And you can't just pretend the past didn't happen. Gladstone himself moved, as you've just said, over the subject of slavery. Britain moved over slavery. Britain became an enormous force in the world for making sure that the abolition was actually carried out. And our navy, you know, patrolled the high seas, stopping slave ships. So Britain went through that process. Gladstone went through that process. That is part of our history and the history of the human races, that we move and we develop greater empathy and we develop greater morality. I mean, otherwise we would still be boiling people in oil. You know, we move and that is history. And these people seem to think, well, you can just rewrite it. You know, you can pretend some people didn't exist. Colston didn't exist. Now, Gladstone doesn't exist. It is a nonsense.
And I think you're completely right. We need to celebrate the fact this is a man who did have that evolution over the course of his life. I mean, I note the fact that actually by the end of his life, Anne, he had the abolition of slavery as one of the 10 greatest achievements of the previous 60 years. And there's the brilliant quote from him where he said it proved that the masses had been right and the classes had been wrong. I mean, I can't think of someone that we could learn from more.
Exactly, and you'd think they would put up a statue to him with that quote underneath and celebrate him. Instead of which, they're trying to pretend he didn't exist. And it is such nonsense. And it's something, I mean, the sad thing is the establishment is bowing down to this. It isn't just the loony left. You find this wherever you go. You know, instructions are issued about how you address people. I mean, good heavens above and the Lords now, you're not supposed to say ladies and gentlemen, you're supposed to say folks. Well, I mean, I think folks is very familiar and matey, and ladies and gentlemen is polite and respectful. But it's the sheer bowing down of the establishment to what is, quite honestly, rot. Total rot.
And
What's the matter with them?
Do you know what? I feel your frustration on this, Anne. And if Diane Abbott Park ever becomes a reality,